Keeping such a state of things a secret has been my ceaseless struggle day after day after day. After Oswald's birth, I thought Alving seemed to be a little better. But it did not last long. And then I had to struggle twice as hard. Fight as though for life or death so that nobody should know what sort of man my child's father was. And you know what power Alving had of winning people's hearts. Nobody seemed able to believe anything but good of him. He was one of those people whose life does not bite upon his reputation. But at last, Mr. Manders, for you must know the whole story, the most repulsive thing of all happened. I had gone on bearing with him, although I knew very well the secrets of his life out of doors. But when he brought the scandal within our own walls, yes, here in our own home, he was there, in the dining room that I first came to know of it. I was busy with something in there, and the door was ajar. I heard our housemaid come up from the garden with water for those flowers. Soon after, I heard Alving come in too. I heard him whisper something softly to her. And then I heard, it still sounds in my ears, so hateful and yet so ludicrous. I heard my own servant maid say, "Let me go, Mr. Alving, let me be." I soon knew what to think. Mr. Alving had his way with the girl. And that connection had consequences, Mr. Manders. I had borne a great deal in this house. To keep him at home in the evenings and at night, I had to make myself his boon companion in his secret orgies upstairs in his room. There I've had to sit alone with him, to clink glasses and drink and laugh at his ribald, silly talk. I've had to fight with him to get him dragged to bed. I had to bear it, for my little boy's sake. But when the last insult was added, when my own servant maid, then I swore to myself, this shall come to an end. So I took the reins in my own hand, the whole control over him and everything else. For now, I had a weapon against him, you see. He dared not oppose me. That was when I sent Oswald away from home. He was nearly 7 years old and was beginning to observe and ask questions. That I could not bear. It seemed to me the child must be poisoned by merely breathing the air of this polluted home. That was why I sent him away. And now you can see too why he was never allowed to step foot in his home so long as his father lived. No one knows what that cost me. I could never borne it if I had not had my work, for I may say that I have worked. All the additions to the estate, all the improvements, all of the labor-saving appliances that Alving was so much praised for having introduced. Do you suppose he had the energy for anything of the sort? He who sat all day on the sofa and read an old court guide? But I may tell you this too. When he had his better intervals, it was I who urged him on. It was I who had to drag the whole load when he relapsed into his evil ways or sank into wretched querulousness. It always seemed impossible to me, but that the truth must come out and be believed. So the orphanage, in his Alving's name, was to deaden all the rumors and put every doubt at rest. And I had one other reason. I was determined that Oswald, my own boy, should inherit nothing whatever from his father. The sums I've spent upon the orphanage year by year amount to, I've reckoned it up precisely, amount to what made Lieutenant Alving a good match in his day. My purchase money. I do not choose that money should pass through Oswald's hands. My boy shall have everything from me. Everything. Oswald, are you still at table?
I'm only finishing my cigar.
I thought you had gone for a little walk.
In such weather as this? Wasn't that Pastor Manders that went out just now?
Yes, he went down to the orphanage. Oswald, you should take care of the liquor. It is strong.
It keeps out the damp.
Wouldn't you rather come in here to me?
I made smoke in there.
You know very well you may smoke cigars.
Oh? All right then, I'll come in. Just a tiny drop more first. There. Where's the pastor gone to?
I've just told you. He went down to the orphanage.
Oh, yes. So he did.
You shouldn't sit so long at table, Oswald.
But I find it so pleasurable, Mother. Just think what it is for me to come home and sit at Mother's own table, in Mother's own room, and eat Mother's delicious dishes.
My dear, dear boy.
What else can I do with myself here? I can't set to work at anything.
Why can't you?
In such weather as this, without a single ray of sunshine the whole day, not to be able to work.
Perhaps it was not quite wise of you to come home.
Oh yes, Mother, I had to.
You know, I would 10 times rather have you not come.
Just tell me, Mother, does it really make you so very happy to have me home again?
Does it make me happy?
I should think it must be pretty much the same to you whether I was in existence or not.
Have you the heart to say that to me? Oswald, your brother?
But you've gone on very well without me all this time.
Yes, I have got on without you. That is true.
Mother, may I sit with you?
Yes, do, my dear boy.
There is something I must tell you, Mother.
Well?
Or I can't go on hiding it any longer.
Hiding what? What is the matter?
I can never bring myself to write to you about it, and since I've come home,
No, what is the matter, Oswald?
both yesterday and today, I tried to put the thoughts away from me, to cast them off, but it's no use.
Oh, now you must tell me everything, Oswald.
Sit still, and then I will try to tell you.
Well?
I complained of fatigue after my journey.
What then?
It isn't that. That's the matter with me. Not any ordinary fatigue.
You are not ill, Oswald.
Sit still. Do take it quietly, Mother. I'm not downright ill either, not what is commonly called ill. Mother, my mind is broken, ruined. I shall never be able to work again.
Oswald, look at me. No, it is not true.
Never to be able to work again. Never. Never. A living death. Mother, can you imagine anything so horrible?
Oh, my poor boy. How has this thing come upon you?
That's just what I cannot possibly grasp or understand. I've never led a dissipated life. Never, in any respect. You mustn't believe that of me, Mother. I've never done that.
I'm sure you haven't, Oswald.
And yet this has come upon me just the same. This awful misfortune.
Oh, but it will pass over, my dear blessed boy. It is nothing but overwork. Trust me, I am right.
I thought so too at first, but it isn't so.
Tell me everything, from beginning to end.
Yes, I will.
When did you first notice it?
It was directly after I had been home last time. I got back to Paris again. I began to feel the most violent pains in my head. Chiefly in the back of my head, they seemed to come. It was as though a tight iron ring was being screwed round my neck and upwards.
Well, and then?
At first, I thought it was nothing but the ordinary headache I was so plagued with while I was growing up.
Yes, yes.
But it wasn't that. I soon found that out. I couldn't work anymore. I wanted to begin upon a big new picture, but my powers failed me. All my strength was crippled. I could form no definite images. Everything swam before me, whirling round and round. It was an awful state. At last I sent for a doctor, and from him I learned the truth.
How do you mean?
He was one of the first doctors in Paris. I told him my symptoms, and then he set to work asking me a string of questions, which I thought had nothing to do with the matter. I couldn't imagine what the man was after.
Well?
At last he said, "There has been something worm eaten in you from your birth." He used that very word, vermulum.
What did he mean by that?
I didn't understand either, and begged him to explain himself more clearly. And then the old cynic said,
But what did he say?
he said, "The sins of the fathers are visited upon the children."
The sins of the fathers.
Yeah, I very nearly struck him in the face.
Oh, the sins of the fathers.
Yes. What do you think of that? Of course, I assured him that such a thing was out of the question, but do you think he gave in? No. He stuck to it. It was only after I produced your letters and translated the passages relating to father.
But then...
But then, of course, he had to admit he was on the wrong track. And so I learned the truth. the incomprehensible truth. I ought not to have taken part with my comrades in that light-hearted, glorious life of theirs. It had been too much for my strength. So I had brought it upon myself.
Oswald, no, do not believe it.
No other explanation was possible, he said. That's the awful part of it. Incurably ruined for life by my own heedlessness. All that I have meant to have done in the world, I dare never think of it again. I'm not able to think of it. If only I could live over and undo all I have done. If only it had been something inherited, something one wasn't responsible for, but this, to have thrown away so shamefully, thoughtlessly, recklessly, one's own happiness, one's health, everything in the world, one's future, one's very life.
No, my dear, darling boy, this is impossible. Things are not so desperate as you think.
Oh, you don't know. And Mother, to cause you all this sorrow, I almost wished and hoped that at bottom you didn't care so very much about me.
I, Oswald? My only boy? You are all I have in the world, the only thing I care about.
Yes. Yes, I see it. When I'm home, I see it, of course. And that's almost the hardest part for me. And now you know the whole story, and now we won't talk any more about it today. I daren't think of it long together. Give me something to drink, Mother.
To drink? What do you want to drink now?
Anything you like? You have some cold punch in the house.
Yes, but my dear Oswald.
Don't refuse me, Mother. Do be kind now. I must have something to wash away all these gnawing thoughts. And then, it's so dark here. And this ceaseless rain. It may go on week after week for months together, never to catch a glimpse of the sun. I can't recollect ever having seen the sunshine all the times I've been at home.
Oswald, you are thinking of going away from me.
I'm not thinking of anything. I cannot think of anything. I live thinking alone. What house was he talking about?
Oh, a kind of home that he and Pastor Manders want to set up.
It will burn down like the other.
What makes you think so?
Everything will burn. All that recalls Father's memory is doomed. Here I am too, burning down.
Oswald, you oughtn't to remain down there so long, my poor boy.
I almost think you're right.
Are you not tired? Oswald, should you like to sleep?
No. I never sleep. I only pretend to. That will come soon enough.
Yes. You really are ill, my blessed boy. And now, my poor suffering boy, I am going to take the burden off your mind.
You, Mother?
All the gnawing remorse and self-reproach you speak of.
And you think you can do that?
Yes. Now I can, Oswald. A little while ago you spoke of the joy of life, and at that word a new light burst for me over my life and everything connected with it.
I don't understand you.
You ought to have known your father when he was a young lieutenant. He was brimming over with the joy of life.
Yes, I know he was.
It was like a breezy day, only to look at him. What exuberant strength and vitality there was in him.
Well,
Well then, child of joy as he was, but for he was like a child in those days. He had to live at home here in a half-grown town which had no joys to offer him, only dissipations. He had no object in life, only an official position. He had no work into which he could throw himself heart and soul. He had only business. He had not one single comrade that could realize what the joy of life meant, only loungers and boon companions. And
Mother!
so the inevitable happened.
The inevitable?
You told me yourself this evening what would become of you if you stayed at home.
Do you mean to say that Father...
Your poor father had no outlet for the overpowering joy of life that was in him. And I brought no brightness into his home.
Not even you.
They had taught me a great deal about duties and so forth, which I went on obstinately believing in. Everything was marked out into duties, into my duties and his duties, and I am afraid I made his home intolerable for your poor father, Oswald.
Why have you never spoken of this in writing to me?
I've never seen it in such a light that I could speak of it to you, his son.
In what light did you see it then?
I saw only one thing, that your father was a broken down man before you were born.
I think it was a mistake, this.
Oswald, my dear boy, has it shaken you very much?
All that about Father, do you mean?
Yes, about your unhappy father. I'm so afraid it must have been too much for you.
And why would you fancy that? Of course it came upon me as a great surprise, but it can make no real difference to me.
No difference? That your father was so infinitely unhappy?
Of course I can pity him as I would anybody else, but...
Nothing more? Your own father?
Oh... Father? Father. I never knew anything of Father. I remember nothing about him, except that he once made me sick.
This is terrible to think of. I'm not a son. To love his father, whatever happens.
When a son has nothing to thank his father for, has never known him, do you really cling to that old superstition, you who are so enlightened in other ways?
Can it only be a superstition?
Yes. Surely you can see that, Mother. It's one of those notions that are current in the world, and so...
Ghosts?
Yes. You may call them ghosts.
Oswald, then you don't love me either.
You, I know. At any rate.
Yes, you know me. But is that all?
And, of course, I know how fond you are of me, and I can't but be grateful to you. And then you can be so useful to me now that I am ill.
Yes. Cannot I, Oswald? Oh, I could almost bless the illness that has brought you home to me. For I see very plainly that you are not mine. I must win you
Yes, yes. All these are just so many phrases. You must remember that I am a sick man, Mother. I can't be taken up much with other people. I have enough to do thinking about myself.
I shall be patient and easily satisfied.
And cheerful, too.
Yes, my dear boy, you are quite right. Have I rid of all your remorse and self-reproach now?
Yes, you have. But now who will relieve me of the dread?